All right, three, two, one. Hey everyone, Harry Welchel here. Today I have Nicola Barnett with me, and we're going to be talking about how Nicola went from she added $29,000 in sales in her first 2 months of working with me. So Nicola, why don't I pass it over to you? Can you just introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about you, your business, and what you do?
Yes. Hello, Harry. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone watching. I am an energy coach and energy intuitive. So my speciality is helping people tap into unlimited energy. And that is through a means of some simple and powerful energy habits, releasing trapped emotions, and also recalibrating subconscious beliefs to unlimited. So that's what I do.
That's amazing. That's so interesting. Well, tell me, we've talked a little bit about your background personally off camera, but tell me, how did you get into this? What's your story? How did you decide to do what you're doing?
Yeah, good question. And originally, I've had a background in business. So I did a business degree, and I worked in sort of sales and marketing for about 15 years. And the reason I got into this was really a personal crisis. I'd hit 30. I realized there were some really dysfunctional things happening in my life, lifestyle habits, heavy drinking, doing lots of drugs. I was in London. It was a bit of a party lifestyle, and also working in a really demanding sales job. So I kind of burnt out essentially, and I was looking for answers. And that led me to book a flight on my own to Peru, and I spent 6 years backwards and forwards to the Amazon jungle looking for solutions, working with indigenous shamans with a plant medicine. I don't know, have you ever heard of a plant medicine called ayahuasca?
I have heard of that, yeah.
Okay, so I spent 6 years, I've done about 80 ceremonies with this plant medicine, and it's called the Vine of the Soul and the Rope of Death. And it essentially is a way to access the deepest recesses of your psyche, really do the biggest shadow work you possibly can, and also be connected to the energy and the fabric of the universe in a way that gives you a tangible way of interacting with consciousness. And I know that all might sound a little bit far-reaching, but that is essentially what got me into energy, because it put me through a process of epigenetic neurogenesis, by which I mean I rewired my brain and my nervous system through the environmental ritual and process of working with these shamans over 8 years. So after that, I realized there was something more than Western medicine could offer, and I was interested in bringing forward what I'd learned in the jungle into a more conventional setting and helping other people. I realized that's what I wanted to do. That's what I felt my calling was. So I started doing more conventional trainings with people like Tony Robbins. I'm a strategic intervention coach through his training program, and then some other energy modalities. So that's where I am today. I'm fully immersed in the language of energy and how that relates to your performance as a human being.
Very interesting. That's super cool. Yeah, I can totally see that trajectory and that journey. Now, with a lot of the energy work you do today, does it necessarily require kind of consuming that ayahuasca, or is it that kind of allows you to more quickly tap into this, and then a lot of this stuff you can also do kind of on your own, maybe just a little bit slower to rewire the brain and work on that? Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so essentially what I realized was and every single person is a highly sophisticated supercomputer. You are absolutely supposed to be a receiver of consciousness and information that we are all completely tapped into. But due to the way we grow up and our formal schooling, we're never open to this extra sensory perception that all of us have the capability to tap into. Mm-hmm. So what ayahuasca did for me was tap me into what I also know is a natural ability for me in ways that might be stronger than other people. But yeah, that now enables me to hold the framework and the container, so you don't have to drink psychedelics to for me to go into your subconscious, and from any moment in time of your lifetime or inherited, emotions, I can actually release that from your vibration, you being a vibration of energy. And I do that with clients all over the world.
That's super interesting. Well, very cool. Well, what do you think makes you especially unique when it comes to the work that you do?
So I always feel that, having been on a journey of really dedicated personal development, that when you choose someone to work with, it's so important to know that they can take you as far as they have been themselves. So to what depth has someone explored their shadow, I would say. And ayahuasca is like a consciousness like nothing else. So I would say I hold a container that is very expanded. And I also hold that in a very safe space of complete acceptance and unconditional love, I would say.
That's awesome. Well, and I'm curious, you mentioned shadow twice now, and I've heard of this before. I know people talking about that, but for those who don't know what you're talking about, can you speak to a little bit about what do you mean by shadow work?
Yes, good point. I suppose that's it. When you're so in something, you forget that there might be terms.
I'm just genuinely curious. Like, I want to hear what your view of that is and what that looks like.
Yeah, I'll give you a really simple example of what shadow is. So can you think of a moment in your life over the past 6 months or past month where you've encountered someone, maybe in your family or anyone else, and they've done something or said something, or just a certain part of their behavior is really annoying, even if you don't want to be obviously annoyed, but there's something that just grates a little on you. So can you think of a time? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I can come up with different things of different degrees. Yeah, so tell me more.
Okay, so that's an example of shadow, because so a good example would be someone who gets really annoyed when someone's late or something. But actually, if we investigate their behavior, we will find that they are probably late themselves. So shadow means something that you plug into that has a charge to it, and it is unacknowledged in you. So you have not allowed something that you are denying, and the clue is always in the mirror, because everything is a reflection of you. So you are a vibration, a coalescence of energy. You may appear solid, but of course you're not. You're made of atoms. It's just a vibration. That is constantly interacting with the vibration of your environment on an immediate level and on a level kind of beyond time and space. That means things that show up in your world are always a match, a reflection. So your shadow is the thing that you're like, that's really annoying. That is telling you that is a repressed part of yourself. And to come to wholeness, to come to a place of peace, we must embrace our shadow. And shadow can be fear, hate, whatever, but it is also your magnificence. So if you are willing to acknowledge the bits you don't like, then it means you can embrace all the amazing parts of you even more that, again, you might not be embracing. So shadow can be bits you don't like, but it can also be magnificent parts of you that you are not tapping into because you have not acknowledged the repressed and denied aspects of yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, especially that latter piece. That's what I've always thought of it as. Is like there are certain things that you, like traits that you might have that you for some reason are blind to, you haven't really cultivated and nurtured.
Totally, because ultimately hold in mind that you are the whole. You are a fractal of the universe. You are absolutely everything, whether you like it or not, and that encompasses hate and love. You have to acknowledge the duality of yourself, which means you are an infinite everything. You just happen to be experiencing the universe through the limitations of the finite mind and body.
That's so interesting. Yeah. And I could see how your work with helping people like untrap emotions and work on getting more energy, I can see how that would be related to help them. It's like if they think like, oh, I don't have a lot of energy. Well, if you can show them how to tap into parts of their psyche or their emotions that they don't even know are there, that's helping them start to unlock things that they may not even know.
Totally. Because if you have something squashed down, whether it's I'm amazing at this, but I just don't even love myself completely and I don't even know it, or I'm not acknowledging that I'm furious with that person, that takes a lot of energy to stuff that down and keep it contained. So you're spending all of your energy just keeping that below the surface whilst like operating in daily life. So putting on your energy glasses, everything is energy. Energy is all there is. And that is a fact of physics. That's not woo-woo anything. E equals mc squared. I only studied physics up until the age of 18, but this is a very basic fact. And cool. Nikola Tesla has an amazing quote. He says, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That is where the information is. You are just a vibration of information. It's all coded in you, your subconscious, your thoughts, your emotions. Change that, you change your reality.
Very cool. Well, let's switch gears just for a second. Like, let's go back to the beginning before you and I were working together. Like, tell me a little bit about like what was going on in your business at the time. What were you working on before we got connected?
Oh my God. So basically, I started my business officially, even though I've been working with the language of energy for 10 years, I really sort of committed to the fact that this was going to be my thing and I wanted to take this forward in the world. I started my business officially in May 2020 and I had joined a coaching course. I sort of mapped out and done an online course. I launched that once. I got a bit of momentum and I got some one-on-one clients in 2020. So I was getting really good experience and getting people results. And then by the time I got to January, we spoke in December and then we'd spoken in January and I came on board with you at the end of January. I was just like, oh, I don't know. I'm a bit tired of like trying to work out what I'm supposed to be doing. I am in devotion to the process of honing my process with clients. And I've got a business degree and I've done sales and it didn't make any difference because ultimately, whether my previous jobs have meant I've been plugging into a blue chip company or a smaller startup, the brand voice and its, you know, the mechanics of what I was taking forward was completely defined. So for me to be articulating myself, I'm not like, I'm an accountant and I do your books. I'm trying to condense the mechanics of consciousness into something that sounds digestible and like it can help people. And I wasn't working with a coach. So I wanted to find someone who was really good at what they did that I could plug into me being really good at what I did and help me articulate what it was I was trying to do. So in January, oh my God, I think I turned over like $750 because I wasn't doing anything to get clients basically because I was just like, don't really know what to do.
Did you like, I know it's sometimes hard to remember, but when you were, before we even talked, like, had you clearly articulated in your mind, you're like, I need somebody to help me position what I'm doing more clearly? Or did you just know like I needed some business help, but I don't know exactly what that is?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I didn't jump the gun because actually it was great. In 2020, I went into this group coaching program, which took me straight into building an online course. What I realized about, you know, during that, I knew I needed to be working with one-on-one clients so I could really hone my process. And I really wanted to have that one-on-one contact. So I knew I needed a business coach. Yeah, I suppose, I was hoping they would be offering that as well. But I was just sort of like fishing around.
Yeah, because I remember one thing that struck me, I don't know if you remember saying this, I feel like maybe it was in our first conversation in December, maybe it was the second one, but you're like, I wasn't really planning on hiring another business coach this year. Do you remember that?
Oh, no, I do remember that. Do you know what? That's hilarious, because I said to my boyfriend before Christmas, he was like, look, you're just like, you want to build an empire in 2 seconds flat. Just chill out, all right? And just like, you know, you've got all the tools, just like do what you want to do in your own time. And then I was like, and then I had a couple of chats with you and I was like, oh my God, do you know what? I really know I'm definitely meant to be doing this. And I checked a few intuitive energy tests on you. And then I was like, okay, fine. It's saying yes. Shit. Okay, I'm doing it.
So, yeah, because I think one other thing I remember was, I think you were doing, I think when we started speaking, you knew that you wanted to do more one-on-one and work more closely with clients. And then but you were also thinking about doing like these webinars as a way to get those one-on-one clients. And you were pretty like kind of like, you know, committed to that as a source of leads. And so that was kind of like all boiling around in your mind at the time when we started talking together. Is that fair?
Yeah, it was actually, I was going to do a summit actually, which I have is ready to go. But when I started working with you, I realized that I need to just dial it back to the very beginning. And the power which I've learned from you is in the foundational pieces. So there's no point jumping ahead to bring people into something when I wasn't articulating clearly what it was that I was offering. So that's what you have provided.
So yeah, I didn't know that you'd push pause on the summit. So that's interesting. So what was that decision like? Did it take a lot of energy or thought to like decide to push pause on that? Because I know a lot of times people have a really hard time like changing up their strategy if they've been working on that for a while.
No, it's totally fine, because I was going to do it in March and now I've just pushed it 3 months out. So it's like, it's not like that work's been wasted. It's just pushed out because I recognized the value of going through your process is like, that's where the power in the seed of the anchor, the engine is going to be. So I'm totally happy to do that.
It's going to make the summit in 6 months or 3 months better. Got it.
Yeah, totally. It's like, you know, yeah, it's making my conversation with clients have such power. And also, yeah, I've just realized there's no, you know, I don't have to be in a real rush. Of course, you want to take action, and there is an aspect of speed that's required to build experience. But I've just dropped into a different consciousness that doesn't include overwhelm, which is suiting me really well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. And I want to talk to you more about kind of that foundational work we did, that seed work. But I'm digging into this because I just think there's a lot of people out there, maybe that are watching this, where, you know, they are going along on their own path and someone comes along with like a different strategy or a different technique, which may require them to put things down to not be overwhelmed, like you're saying. And so can you give the people who are listening, like, are there any tips you have about like how you had the courage and just the quickness to be able to like be okay, be comfortable putting that down and not like beating yourself up or being like, oh, you're quitting or doing any sort of like negative self-talk around that?
Yeah. Okay. So absolutely. The first question they need to ask themselves is, on a weekly basis, am I operating my to-do list and my daily actions in a state of stress or overwhelm? If the answer is yes, over 50% of the time, then that is your absolute sign that you need to start saying no to things until you cultivate a resiliency that allows you to grow into a leader that can manage emotions to take on more. Because if you want to manifest money or abundance, that is never going to happen if you're overwhelmed or stressed out. So that's your marker. If you're stressed out or overwhelmed over 50% of the time, you absolutely need to say no to some things. Because
usually, look at that as like a symptom or a sign of like something needs to change. Like I'm not in alignment with what I'm currently prioritizing or what I'm doing.
Exactly. And it feels scary because it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to get to where I want to be quicker. But that is absolutely not true. Go back to, do you remember, you might be a bit too young for this, but do you remember Karate Kid, that film where it's like wax on, wax off?
Yes.
That was like, yeah. It's like, just go back to that simple movement, like dial it back and just really find out what can bring your business forward and say no to everything else. So that's what I did. And that's what the structure of Flywheel offered me. It really just brought me into focus. And I know that I have total shiny object syndrome. It's like, if I'm starting to feel a bit panicky because things aren't moving fast enough, I'll be like, right, what can I just buy and plug in that's going to get me there quicker? Soon as I notice that, it's like, no, stop that pattern immediately.
Yeah. That's.
And I think you also mentioned that in some of the mindset modules, but I'm very aware of that, of myself.
Yeah. And sometimes we think like, wait, like, can it really be that I just need to do less and do it better, or like fewer things, or do the basics better? Like, what does that even mean? You know, I don't even understand what that looks like. But then you get into it and you realize, oh my gosh, there's just so much depth to like setting up my foundation.
Totally. Oh my God, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
So why don't we talk a little bit about that? I know we've done a ton of stuff together, I'm sure, but like maybe can you speak to like 2 or 3 really highlights or things that have been helpful to you and some wins that you've gotten over the last 2 months?
Yeah. So do you want me to reveal a specific about your program that's helped me, or would you rather I don't like give away any of your trade secrets?
I think like you can speak to it at a high level, like speak about the concepts are fine. Yeah. Anything that you feel comfortable with.
So I have to say, the way that you break down the analysis of the offer, I feel like I have like tried to do that with a few other people and like, you know, free webinars and things like that. But I have to say, the engineering of the process, because you, I think, historically were a software engineer or still are, that engineering process, that was totally doing it for me in a way that I've not encountered anywhere else. So engineering the process just gave me such a strong foundation. And so therefore, being able to communicate that to clients, just getting clients on sales calls, you know, I feel like articulating exactly what I can offer them and the results that I can give them, just, I know that should be really easy, but it's not. And so the finessing of that process is totally brilliant, the way that you do it. So that was really good. Therefore, that's enabled me to bring on some of my normal clients who come in for a 3-month package. But then also the most exciting thing was bringing on a 6-month client, because I combine my business expertise from my previous jobs and then also my energy work. And I've got a 6-month contract and I totally crushed the value on that and did them a package for $19,000. So that was like, yes, amazing. That was a sign that it's like, I'm not saying I'm going to be bringing on $19,000 clients like every day of the week, because I still feel like I'm in a process of transformation and evolution, honing my message. But the tools I have from you are going to enable me to go through those continuous iterations and evolutions so easily. It's just like that framework that you offer is just going to be in my way of being now.
I love it. Yeah. And I think like what I so much love about your story and your wins is like, I think a lot, like speaking to like, if there's any of my existing clients who are watching this or people who aren't clients, like people think like, oh, this engineering approach, this systematic approach of breaking things down, like, of course, it only works for like sales coaches or like marketing coaches, but like you're an energy coach, and you know, your domain of what you're talking about and caring about, it's not purely about numbers. It's not purely about like tangible results.
Oh no, there's no monetary value that I'm articulating to my clients at all. And I just used your process for the client that I signed up, and we're doing a lifestyle brand launch. So again, I've used your process for her, and that's just technically way more fluffy, and it worked so well. So yeah. It's brilliant.
That's what's so cool about like your story is like the potency of that, and just showing that like this isn't just something for people that are doing the purest of like numbers based type of offers. It's like a framework, and it's, I mean, you can speak to a little bit more. I'd love to hear like, why do you think that you were able to embrace that and like break things down and kind of use that MISI kind of concept? Like, why do you think, is it something in your background, or just you just clicked so quickly for you how to like apply that kind of like logical approach to something that isn't that logical, that's very more touchy-feely and emotional? How were you able to do that?
Because I just did exactly what you said in your videos.
You followed the training.
I just followed the training, basically. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to say it in any other way. I just did exactly what you said.
I think that's part of it. And I think also you and I, we had like a number of good conversations where you'd come on, you'd share some ideas, and I'd give you some feedback,
right,
and you'd be like, oh, like I can work with that. Like, let me go do some more stuff. And I think
that's a really good point, actually.
Right.
So, yeah, your calls are really supportive. Thank you for prompting me on that one. Yeah, so it's not like there's an amazing community where you can get feedback all the time. Everyone's super supportive of each other. You can practice your framework by jumping on calls with other people who are part of the group. But yeah, your feedback, you can get live feedback and jump on a call once, twice a week. So yeah, in the beginning, that really helped me get up to speed with the process super quick. So once I'd done a couple of calls and asked a few questions, I was absolutely up and running with going into the depths of that. And now I feel like I can do that effectively for any nuance of market, industry, sector.
Of what you're doing going forward.
Totally. So yeah, your support was invaluable on a like one-on-one basis in the group like call setting.
I appreciate that, and I think that's part of it. I wasn't exactly fishing for that. I was more thinking about like I think you've got like a good background in communication and sales and a command of the English language, and I think that like I do as well. And so that combination, like I could give you something to run on with, and then you be able to know what I'm talking about, but also understand like it's not just about like flowery language or like using the right adjective. It's about the actual like internal logic of what you're talking about and breaking it down. And even if the other person, the prospect, isn't like as familiar with the logic, like they're going to like subconsciously pick up on how like clear and simple your offer is and how everything like is cohesive and relates if you do that work up front, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And it's like you are so incredibly great at, I also read when you sort of dissect other people's in the beginning, like looking in the group as you were going through and giving other people feedback, that would really help me understand, you know, what we're looking for. Are you holding an authentic truth? Do you know what I mean? Is it true with a capital T? That is the power of consciousness, the vibration of the word, and that will travel into people's subconscious. And that is what you, because you are a little bit magic, and I don't think you realize it, but that is good.
What do you mean? Tell me more.
Well, I don't know. I just feel like there is an aspect of, alchemic consciousness, which is embedded in this, which definitely has a power to it because it's authentic and you distill the truth. And that's good. I think that's why I tuned in and I was like, I'm not doing any more business coaching, even though I'd only done one lot of business coaching before. But I was like, right, not doing any. And then I was like, did a few consciousness checks in the ether and it was like, yes. And I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah, I think it's this combination of like being able to like really think systematically and distill things down, but then you have to also be very creative and think laterally and be able to like connect dots, right? And so it's that unique mix of like doing that. That's when these offers we create become really, really powerful.
Yeah, so it's right brain, left brain. It's all got to dance together to bring something that feels just right.
I love it. So tell me more, like, so that was one thing we worked on. What else? Anything else that's been useful or like, I know you've had some pairing sessions that have been good. Like what other wins have you had?
Yes. So I definitely feel like the way that you've put the framework together for practicing sales is so helpful. And that has meant, I've totally got up to speed so well. I've practiced with 2 people quite a few times. Oh no, 3 people. And I've actually got a few practice sessions next week as well. So that has been absolutely invaluable because when you actually start going through your sales process in the structured way that it's presented, if you tried to road test that with clients out in the world, what a waste. Poor clients. So that is brilliant. And it's ridiculous because I'm a salesperson, but it doesn't make any difference because when it's your brand, it's not like working for a company. If you're a salesperson and you've not sold yourself, you definitely need to do this. It doesn't, you don't ever think that you know what you're doing.
Can you
yeah,
already, like from those sessions you've had, like can you kind of just feel tangibly like the before and after effect of your confidence or your clarity of communication, or like you're kind of like building muscle memory to be able to handle certain scenarios? Has that already been manifesting to you?
Yeah, definitely. I feel that's come up in terms of the conversions that I've had on the sales calls for people who've come on with me. And also, yeah, it means I hold authority. There is that authority. And essentially the objective of the practicing calls is say as little as possible, really, even though you want to be, I think one trait that I've noticed with the people I've been practicing it with, we all speak way too much when we start practicing at the beginning. And as you get further along, you want to say what you need to say with power, but you need to, there's that quote, it's like, I'm terribly sorry I didn't have time to write you a short letter. Here's the long one. Do you know what I mean? That sales process that you put us in, the sales boot camp, is essentially writing the short letter that has the most power. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. And it's like, yeah, like the more you practice, it's like that like nervous energy of talking a lot dissipates. And then what's left is just like this core that's very useful and powerful, if that makes sense.
Totally. So that is essential. So yeah, that was really well set up. Thank you.
And do you feel like the other people that you're pairing with, they're like getting equally the amount of value that you're getting? Like you guys both can help each other?
Yes, definitely. There's been feedback in the group. Marguerite was like, yes, I've just landed a client after my practice session with Nicola. So she definitely saw the benefits. And yeah, a few other people have messaged me and said, oh yeah, the CEO who came on that sales call said, I really loved the energy that you had on the call. And he was like, that made me think of our practice sessions. So it's worked really well in reciprocity for me and the other people.
That's awesome. Well, what else? What other things? Anything else that comes to mind?
Anything else that comes to mind?
Oh, you want to talk a little bit about, or go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, I also just want to say that realistically, I've had wonderful success so far, but I have to say, I would really be honest about the fact that I'm probably executing 75% of your strategies with 65% proficiency right now, because it's technically still very new to me. And I really feel like this, although you can get results quickly, this is still like a year-long process. You don't put a time limit on it. That's my just personal feeling. And it's like when I'm using 100% of the tactics with 100% proficiency, then it will be on fire.
Yeah, like the way I like to think about what you just said is like, it's I tell people, I'm like, look, you'll go through some of this stuff and you're going to get value from it right away. But I guarantee, like on your fourth time around or your fifth time around, there's going to be nuances in depth that you will pick up on that you're like, I just didn't even miss it. I didn't even see that because your brain didn't have the bandwidth to pick up on all the details when you just started, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the great thing about this is I know I can plug back into doing some sales practice with people in 4 months' time. There's no time limit that you have set at this time. That may change, I'm sure, for you in the future. Who knows? But at the moment, yeah, it's accessible to like take me up the spiral of evolution as I evolve.
Yeah. And I bet, I mean, like, do you feel like you probably get a glimpse of that, or you can see like, and you've got your background in sales, you just know how much depth there is in like having that one conversation and how you can like just keep getting better and better at mastering that sort of conversation and I guess that conversation in a specific setting, right? The conversation you're having now around energy work with your clients is different than any other sales conversation you've ever had. And so it's like you have to like put the energy in to master that one dialogue, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm just enjoying that at the moment. I'm enjoying finally being able to find out what it is that I'm actually doing instead of like going off on a random tangent, trying to explain the mechanics of consciousness and like the common denominator of the universe. And people are like, what? How does that help me? So yeah, basically just dialing it back a bit, and that's really helpful. Thank you.
Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Anything interesting from any of these deals you closed? Like any interesting aha moments, or just fun wins, or little things like vignettes that you want to share from any of those?
Well, just the fact that it's super great to know that you're going to be delivering value. You know you're getting people results. You know what you're doing is totally unique. You know the blend of training that you've got is like makes you one of a kind. So just delighting clients and having the opportunity to do that, for them saying yes, and them recognizing your value by giving them giving me money, is obviously great. So
are the clients that you're working with, like now in the service delivery, are they happy? Are they making progress? They're on the right track?
Totally. Yeah, no, all my clients absolutely love the experience and they get real results. And again, the thing that Flywheel is helping me do, your program is helping me do, is again, refine who I will be serving, because it still is a bit broad. But yeah, ideally entrepreneurs who are looking to up-level their mindset and beliefs. So yeah, no, it's just, I'm just enjoying the process right now. I can't think of anything specific in terms of the deals that I brought on board. I'll tell you more at some point.
I'm curious about this. Like, one thing I'm picking up slightly on what you're saying is, like, I feel like if you do the lead gen and the sales conversation well, it's basically like you're making a fantastic first impression, and you're setting the frame up of what the relationship's going to be like when they work with you. And if you do that well, it can actually just make the perception of the value when you're doing service delivery so much higher, and people are more motivated and fired up. Do you feel like you've seen that at all in these new engagements that you've been doing?
I feel like even the clients I was bringing on before I could get them fired up. And I feel like the people I brought on before, it was because I'd had a much longer lead time for them, getting to know, like, and trust me. So I would say I don't think them getting fired up is any different. I think that's kind of the same, but it's just that I'm getting them fired up and to a close in
faster.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the difference, really, which
Very
is
cool.
great, because obviously, you know, I don't want to be faffing around for 6 months. You know, it's like, I can actually get you a result. Let's do this right now.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, let me ask you this. Like, where did you first hear about me?
That is a good question. I think it was actually your Facebook advertising, probably. I think it probably was, actually. Yeah, basically. And I don't know why I was in your bucket of audience, because I've not done anything else like this. I only did one group coaching program with a female European entrepreneur in 2020, and that's it. I haven't done any other business coaching, but I do sign up for the freebies for all the, the people, that everyone does the things who are generally crushing it. So I must be in one of those. So yeah, that was how.
Facebook is smart. Figuring it out. We needed to talk.
Yeah, exactly. So, I liked your style, and I was like, and then obviously the way that you presented the results that other people had generated that was good.
Cool. So what do you think, so that kind of piqued your interest. What do you think about, have any other areas of your life beyond your business improved? Has any of this rippled into anything else in your life?
Well, you do have a big focus on mindset in the first module, but that is kind of what I do. So I would say that was great, because it made me feel like I was absolutely in the right place. And there's always an opportunity to stay on game with your mindset. So that was super supportive, I would say. You're obviously super structured and organized, and I am to a certain degree, but having gone into this land of energy, I've expanded my consciousness, gone very right brain, even though I'm very left brain. So, you know, sometimes I'm a bit out there, and this has really helped me bring it back in as well, I would say. So yeah, the structure is pleasing to me.
I wonder if
I'm not sure that's necessarily answering your question, but yeah, there is structure which feels, I don't know, soothing.
It makes me think of the shadow stuff we were talking about, like maybe that you were like really deep into the creative side for a while, and it was like you just saw me as somebody who could help you kind of have that duality and maybe bring some more balance to
exactly. So yeah, it's like, right, plug that in, thank you very much.
Awesome. So why did you think back to like our last conversation, why did you decide to do business with me? Do you remember?
Because you were really good at your sales process, and I obviously did need what you were offering, and you took me through a way that I couldn't really say no. So I was like, and I am obviously a salesperson, so I was like, he's bloody sold me, and I can't really say no because he's totally right. So I've got to give him credit for that, because I need to be able to do that. So yeah, fine, let's do it.
Yeah, that is
one of
the nice things of my business. If I'm teaching salespeople, I'm sure they're constantly trying to judge me like in the moment about how well the conversation is going, but it's a quick test.
No, it was good. It was like, it was super. Yeah, it wasn't stealth. It was like, I don't know how to describe it. I'll think of that, but it was very good. So I was like, well, I can't argue with that, can I? Because that's what I need to be doing.
The sales conversation I think are best is like, where like they forget they're in a sales conversation. They're just like, we're just talking, and it's like, we're like come along aside each other, and we're figuring out like, how do we move this person along? It's actually when they say, sometimes they'll be like, wow, you're really good at sales. That's actually a bad sign, because it means that they get like sucked out of the conversation.
Yeah. So it was like, I knew I was being led down your path, but I was like, oh God, you got me. I was thinking, but I was like, fine, let's do it.
Awesome. So would you recommend others work with me? Yes,
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. They should. Like, honestly, it's incredibly good value. It will absolutely benefit your business, no matter what stage of business that you're at, whether you think, sales or marketing or whatever. This will absolutely redefine the foundational power of your business.
I love it. So who do you think in particular I'm a good fit for?
Well, obviously, I'm a more left field coach who works with energy and consciousness, but you have a whole host of individuals in that group. It's actually really diverse from all over the world. So, really, it could work for pretty much anyone. I really do genuinely believe that, because like I said, I'm now using your process with the new client that I've brought on, and that's like a lifestyle and beauty business. So it really could work for anyone.
Yeah, like, not to toot my own horn, but like when I kind of start putting together some of those offer exercises, I thought to myself, this is so powerful, because it's just this very, very fundamental exercise that could apply to a lot of different businesses. I'm sure we're like just barely scratching the surface, but it's I think it's hard for some people because it requires critical thinking, it requires creativity, it requires like stepping out into the unknown, because if your exact offer was already made, it's probably not going to add that much value to the world. And so you have to like really do some generative creative work within that, if that makes sense. But then it will work for anything. Period. You just have to like think enough about it.
Yeah, totally. So if there's anyone who feels like I'm not quite connecting to my market, my clients in the way that I want to, or I'm not quite sure, I'm just starting out and I'm not quite sure how to do this. Unless you're absolutely crushing it 100%, you should definitely do this.
And do you feel like, we didn't talk about this, but getting that clarity on the offer structure, did that also help you charge more? Did that affect your pricing? I guess
Yes,
definitely for that one deal.
definitely. But also the other ones as well. And I was on the verge of putting up my prices anyway. But, you know, I only started officially last year and it's just been a process of evolution. But again, yeah, I know where I'm going. So definitely holding that authority helped me do that.
Yeah. So if you're listening and what we were talking about is a little abstract, just think about like a lot of the ripple effects to this is like increasing your pricing, increasing your close rate. And so if you're struggling with any of that stuff, this is probably a fit for you.
Yeah.
So like, why should someone who's listening right now take action if they're on the fence?
Well, why wouldn't they take action? Basically, I would ask them. And yeah, they should take action, because if you were like me, I said, I'm not doing any more business. I'm not doing any business coaching in 2021, but recognizing that this is the foundational piece. So someone should take action because refining the foundational piece of your business gives you the power to say no to other things that are creating stress or overwhelm that aren't really moving the needle for you. So just cut it out, dial it back, plug into this, and it will absolutely see you on a completely different path over the next year, 2, or whatever, you know.
I love it.
So yeah, they should just, and also just get on a call and chat to you. They don't have to sign up. They can just like book a strategy session. It's no big deal. Right. So if there's any flicker of curiosity, don't listen to your mind. Don't pay attention to your thoughts sometimes. That also. Yeah,
and I think, you know, I'm excited for you like over the next couple of months. Like I really do believe like the fact that you're doing this work and then you validate it with some sales and higher pricing, like when you get to doing more summits or more like scalable channels of lead gen, all these conversations you've been having, the talk patterns, the ways that you think about what you do, that will just naturally bubble up on those settings where you're talking to more people, but you're not getting that immediate tangible feedback from them.
Yeah.
You can basically have confidence that those events, those summits will convert at a higher rate because of all that work you've done.
Oh my God, absolutely. It's like, yeah, there was no point me doing those until I'd gone back and done this and know who I am and what I'm offering.
So what is your number one piece of advice for coaches and consultants?
I work with a coach and a mentor. And if you're working with a coach and a mentor and you're like, you know, I think a lot of people do sign up and they think with other people and they're like, you know, it's okay. Unless you think this is 100% amazing and delivering value, look for something else. And also, I definitely, having done some sales practice with some people with Inside Your Course who've done other programs that are kind of in this arena, which I have not, they have said that this is much better.
Awesome. Well, Nicola, this is fantastic. What's on deck for you in the next 3 months or so? What do you have planned?
Well, I'm actually working on a new energy program that I'm going to be launching through some of these summits. Now now I know who I am. I'm going to be, working on some marketing strategies that now actually have the foundational power behind them. And also, just serving my one-on-one clients and continuing with the strategies and like developing the strategies that I'm learning in Flywheel. So that will carry on for the next, foreseeable future. It's those 2 tracks really. Just really enjoying the process at the moment. And that has got much further to go, I think.
That's awesome. Well, great. Well, Nicola, this is so fantastic. I'm so excited for you. Grateful to be able to work with you, to coach you on all this stuff. And if people want to learn more about you, where can they find out more about you online?
So my website is nicola.energy. So it's not .com, it's not .co.uk, it's Nicola, Nicola.energy. And or you can find me on Instagram, the same, at nicola.energy. And I'd be delighted to answer any questions anyone has about energy or consciousness and how that relates to them living their best life.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thanks so much. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome.
Bye.
Bye.